Hello, Dread Mechanic here, and welcome back to some more Mechyard survival. In the last episode, we made a few upgrades around the base after the release of the most recent update, and in this episode, I plan on continuing to make a few more upgrades, and actually a few downgrades as well, because over the last couple of months, we've been building this base up so much that my sim speed in this game has now plummeted to an almost unmanageable degree, so we are probably going to have to scale back a few things here and there. And then once we have done that, we will finish off programming this new advanced walker, and maybe starting a new project. We'll see how things go. But first I would like to take a moment to thank my YouTube members for their continued support. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, guys. Okay then, so the first thing I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to grind down one of those missile launcher bays that I made. I think I got a little bit excited making two, and one of them hasn't been working properly last time it was needed. So I think I'm going to grind one of them down, and then possibly use the foundations of it to start a loading bay for another mech. So, first things first, I think I am going to remove the welders from the squid, replace them with some grinders, and then we can grind down that building a little bit quicker, and then we can make some more decisions from there. So, first things first, let's get the welders off this ship. Okay, so let's replace this with a bunch of grinders then, shall we? So that's one there. That's two there. That's three. And that is four. Ooh, what's that on the floor? Ah, a bunch of stuff that was in that welder. Right then, let's get these welded up, and then we can go grind down a building. Where's the nearest cargo access? Grinder number one. That's grinder number two. That's number three. And that's number four. Fantastic. So, if we jump into our control panel and go to our auto welding setup, and then we can quickly just replace what was the old welders with these new grinders. And if we do the same for auto welding off, then we should hopefully be able to run it the exact same way. So let's fly over to one of those missile bases and cut the thing down. Okie dokie then, I think I'm going to grind down this secondary missile bay here. We can turn this into something else. I do need to fix that one over there, because I still want to keep that one, but I think two is a little bit overkill. And the construction and spawn rate of the missiles in that one's alright for now. If I have two, it's just going to spawn a million things, and my game's going to slow down even more. So, let's make a start grinding this one down. then, we need to go and drop some of this stuff off, and then come back and grind the rest. It would appear all of my cargo containers are full. Except for that one. Ooh, just about. Yeah, we might have to make some more cargo storage. Yeah, we might have to make some more somewhere. But for now, that'll be fine. Off we go to grind the rest of that missile launcher down. Okay then, that is most of that building done. There's a few little scraps left over. There's a few holes in the floor that I need to patch up, but that's the majority of it done. I'm just going to clean the last few bits up myself, and then we will move on to sorting out that new advanced mech walker. So, let's get this all sorted out. Well then, that's that missile silo ground down. I've welded up the patches in the floor where I'd accidentally gotten a bit carried away. So, now I think it's time to go and play with sorting out the rest of that advanced mech walker. We'll decide what we're going to do with this building later on. Okay then, first thing we need to do realistically is we need to actually finish off everything we need for this new Scrap Warrior. So if we go into his control panel, yeah, we need to finish off his toolbar, and we also need to finish off some of his controls. So one of the things that I wanted to do, as of the latest update, we can now change the colours of the lights with a single action. So I want to have the weapon systems on this mech have state-changing lights that change colour depending on what state they're in. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to have the lights turn a certain colour when they're switched on, turn a certain colour when they're switched off, and turn a particular colour when they are targeting an enemy. So to make things a little bit easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a group out of these weapon lights here, and I'm just going to call them weapon lights. And then we can select our weapon lights group, and when they turn on, I'm going to set them to turn cyan, or aqua as the game likes to call it. And when they turn off, I'm going to have them turn orange. And now when I turn those weapons on and off, they turn blue when they turn on, and they turn orange when they turn off. But I also want them to change colour when they are targeting something, so we need to go back into the control panel, and then we need to select our arm control units and go to Setup Actions. And for the left arm, I'm going to set the colour to red when it's targeting something, and I'm going to set it back to cyan again when it is not targeting something. And then we'll just do that for the elbow controllers, as they're the ones that are actually controlling the guns. And then we can do the same thing for our turret control unit. So we'll go in there, we'll find the turret active light, we'll set that to red, and then we'll set that to cyan. And now when I activate those weapons, the light should turn cyan to indicate they've turned on, and then turn red when they're targeting me. Yeah, look at that, that's the one. If I'm moving around, as it loses targeting, it switches back to cyan again. Fantastic. And if we turn the whole system off, they all go back to orange. Awesome, right. That's that sorted. What else do we need to fix? Okay, so for the rest of this guy's toolbar controls, what I'm thinking of also doing is having some auto walk controls. And now, because of the latest update, we can just use this set override percentage action to make it a really simple on and off setup. You just have 100 on one and 0 on the other. And now I can just turn the auto walking on and off by pressing 6 and 7. And that way my hand doesn't have to get tired from constantly holding the forward button. And then we can have a few manual docking controls. So we can have our control relay set channel to, I think it was 41. And we'll just have that set to docking. And there we go, we've got a nice automated docking relay button down there. And we'll also have the docking port switch lock on and off action as well. And for his arm controls, the first thing we'll do is we'll have the weapon system light that turns the whole thing on and off as the first control. And so for this mech, because we've got a slightly more advanced weapon setup with a different weapon on each arm, I'm going to set up individual arm controls. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have an enable AI function for the entire left arm, and then we'll have a control function for the left elbow, and then we'll also select the autocannon, and then for the left arm we will have a little bit of targeting controls. So we'll have a cycle subsystems, focused lock target, a target friends just in case, and a target neutrals. And then we'll quickly set up the same thing with the right arm. And there we go, that's the right arm sorted out as well. And we can also do the same thing for the shoulder mounted turret. And now we should have a control system for all of our weapons. So I turn them on. I can then take control of that gun arm. I can take control of that one. And I can take control of the main shoulder turret. And we can turn them all off again. Fantastic. Right, that is his basic controls set up, I think. Okay, so now that we've got a control system set up, we should probably work on his docking and launching sequences so that he can come back to the base and recharge when he needs to. He has got a reactor in him, but occasionally that will run out of fuel and he will need to reload that. Same as his weapons. So let's go back into his control panel. Right then, for this docking and launching system, we are going to use a pair of remote control blocks, because the AI task blocks have a tendency to skip through their waypoints if things get in the way or distract them. So I'm going to use a pair of remotes instead, because they tend to focus in on their target and not get distracted. Right then, let's make a whole bunch of GPS locations for this mech.
Hi, I am Automaton. I work hard when my owner turns me on. I can get you some uranium ore. Just let me know if you need more. Put me on a journey through space and time, and if you want to break me, that's just fine. You don't need to supervise me. Just keep in mind I need electricity.
And then we have his last GPS location, right where we want him to stop. We can have that final location trigger the relay. And then hopefully he'll be able to dock himself. And then once he's fully recharged, we'll have one of his event controllers turn off this light, which will then deactivate the whole docking clamp system. And then we need to set up his AI control to walk back out of here again. So if we go back into his control panel one more time and select the launch remote control, we can then walk him back out of here and set up a few more waypoints on the way out.
I can perform so many tasks. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. If anyone tries to ruin your day, give me a turret, I can make them go away. There are lots of pirates in space. I will guard you. You will be safe. I can fly your spaceships too. 1, 2, 3, let's land on the moon.
Okay, now that we've got all of that set up, if we go into our AI docking remote and select those waypoints that we just made, add them in, and we can give this a test. And we'll also quickly set up the same thing for the AI launch remote. Now, we're also going to need a couple of timer blocks to start and stop this docking sequence. So I've added a docking start one and a docking end one. So we'll quickly set these up too. And the first thing this docking start timer is going to turn off is going to be the AI, because we don't want any of these AI blocks interfering with our docking sequence. We'll also turn off the weapon system's light to deactivate all of the weapons. We'll also make sure to check that the walk sensor is on, so that it doesn't crash into anything. And we can turn the autopilot for our docking sequence on. And on the next page, we will just double check that all of the AI blocks have been turned off correctly. And now we can go into our docking end timer. And the first thing that the docking end timer will do is send a relay signal to the docking station to activate the docking clamp and arm setup. Then it will deactivate the autopilot for the docking sequence and reset the waypoints for it. And a few last things we're going to get it to do is turn off the walk cycle timer to make sure it's stopped. And we will also turn off the docking start and docking end timers. So we should now be in a good position to give this thing a test. And if we select our docking start timer, hit the trigger button, we'll see what he does.
Hi, I am Automaton. I work hard when my owner turns me on. I can get you some uranium ore. Just let me know if you need more. Put me on a journey through space and time, and if you want to break me, that's just fine. You don't need to supervise me. Just keep in mind I need electricity. I can perform so many tasks. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. If anyone tries to ruin your day, give me a turret, I can make them go away. There are lots of pirates in space. I will guard you. You will be safe. I can fly your spaceships too. 1, 2, 3, let's land on the moon.
And there we go. he has managed to dock himself all on his own. Right. Let's test the launching sequence next. So, if we turn this light off, it should deactivate the entire thing. And then we can go to our launch remote control. We don't need any timers for this one. This is just going to be a simple turning the autopilot on. And then once he's left the area, the docking station pad resets itself. And then when he gets to the end of his launch sequence, it deactivates the autopilot for it. Okay then, now that we know that our docking sequence seems to work pretty well, and it can also launch itself back out again, we can now add a few more advanced settings to this docking sequence. So, I have got another event controller called docking, and what this event controller is going to do is it is going to detect when the docking port on the back of the mech is connected up, and when it is, it will turn all of the control systems off, and when it undocks it will turn them all back on again. And then we will have a group for all of our AI blocks and turn them all off. And then we will also turn off the two AI control mode lights, so AI guard mode and AI patrol mode. And we will also, as an extra failsafe, make sure that the autopilot on the docking sequence is deactivated. And then we can select our batteries and put them onto recharge when it's docked up, and enable auto when it is disengaged. And now that we've set that up, hopefully when this thing docks up, it should automatically deactivate all the things that might interfere with it in any sort of way. Well then, now that we have all of that set up, it's probably time to actually set him up with a patrol route. So if we go back into his control panel and take control of him, and now we can set him up with a whole bunch of GPS locations for his patrol route.
Hi, I am Automaton. I work hard when my owner turns me on. I can get you some uranium ore. Just let me know if you need more. Put me on a journey through space and time, and if you want to break me, that's just fine. You don't need to supervise me. Just keep in mind I need electricity.
Okay then, now that we have the patrol route set up, we should probably set up the triggers for the docking and launching controls. So, for that we have another set of event controllers that will look at the battery levels. So we've got one called battery full and one called battery low. So when battery full is above 99%, it will be triggered, and when battery low is below 15%, it will be triggered. And when our battery is full, it will activate the control relay and set the channel and send a signal to deactivate the docking arm. So we'll set the signal to 41, because that is the one for this docking station. We'll name it docking, and it will also activate the autopilot on our docking launch remote control. And when the battery drops below 15%, we will turn on the docking start timer, because we are going to have that triggered by one of the waypoints in the patrol route. And we will also set the channel and send signal on the control relay. This one will be 42, and this will send a signal to the docking station and get it set up to receive the walker when it comes back in. And now we can finally set up the patrol route properly. So if we go to our patrol route unit scroll all the way down to the bottom of this menu, and we can select all of those waypoints we just made. And if we go to the final waypoint in the sequence and click on Setup Actions, we can select our docking start timer and choose the trigger action. So every time it gets to the end of the sequence, it has a chance to activate the docking sequence. And we can also set up the patrol mode controller. So when the patrol mode is activated, it will deactivate the guard mode light, and when it is deactivated, it will also deactivate the weapon system, so it will reset them back to 0. And then it will activate all of the AI blocks in the AI patrol group and turn them off again. And then we will turn the AI on and off. And we will also turn the walk sensor on and off so the mech doesn't crash into anything. And I've also done the same thing with the guard mode controls. And one of the other things I wanted to do to this docking system was add a few more of the new updated actions into the docking sequence. So we will go to our docking mode relay, we will go to our setup actions menu, and when the mech activates its docking sequence, it will send a signal to this relay, and the first thing it's going to do is turn on the 2 spinning lights on the outside of the building. Then it is going to set the colour to orange to indicate that the mech is low on power and it is coming back into dock. And it will also turn on the interior light. And then if we go to our arm connector controller for the docking arm, we can add in a few extra functions. And so when the batteries are fully charged, it will trigger the docking system to disengage, and it will change the colour on the lights on the outside of the building to a nice green colour. And if we go to our platform sensor, we can add a few more extra details to this one. And so when the sensor no longer detects our mech, it can trigger the docking end sound block to indicate that it is leaving the docking bay. And we will also turn off the lights on the outside of the building. And we will also set them back to a nice neutral cyan colour. And we will also turn off the interior light as well. And the sun is now going down on another day, so I thought I would add a few lights to the new Mech Warrior. So I've upgraded his head a little bit with a few spotlights and a little bit more armor plating. So now that we've done all of those little bits, we should be able to trigger his patrol route and then just let him do his thing. There we go. Off he goes.
Hi, I am Automaton. I work hard when my owner turns me on. I can get you some uranium ore. Just let me know if you need more. Put me on a journey through space and time, and if you want to break me, that's just fine. You don't need to supervise me. Just keep in mind I need electricity.
Okay, so I'm going to test this new docking sequence then, with all the lights and signals and everything included. So I have turned off the reactor and I am just going to adjust the settings on our battery low controller, and then hopefully when it gets to the end of its patrol sequence it will have triggered the docking sequence. Oh, there we go, so it has activated the docking mode. Now we know it's going to start coming in to dock very soon, and then hopefully when it gets to the end of the patrol sequence it will engage the docking sequence. Oh, there it goes. I think it's doing it. Yep, there he goes. He's walking into the docking station. Right, let's hope that he can actually land properly. And there he goes. He has docked up and everything has turned off correctly. Cool, let's let him recharge and see if he can launch properly as well. Oop, there we go, it is now fully charged. And it has launched itself. Fantastic, and all the lights did everything in the correct sequence too. Off he goes. Hopefully he will engage his patrol mode again when he gets to the end of his launch sequence. Oh, there he goes. And off he goes, patrolling once more. Fantastic. It looks like the docking sequence works nicely. Okay, so I think I'm going to add a couple of lampposts out here as well, just to make life a little bit easier, and make it a little bit easier to see. And then we're going to put some spotlights on the side of these, so I'll have one of those there, one of those there, one of those, and one of those. Now we just need to get those bits welded up. And we always need more bulletproof glass. And we need more girders. Of course I only need 5 more construction components. Right then, I think that's this docking station setup. Next time, I think we will move on and start a new little project and start building something that will more than likely help us start taking out some of these assert bases with a little bit more assertiveness. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.